Welcome, everyone in my channel. Today we delve into an extraordinary life story, the story of a man who changed the course of history with his unwavering courage and leadership. He is none other than Nelson Mandela, the legacy of a hero. Nelson Rolihlahla. Mandela, one of the world's most revered leaders, was born on July 18, 1918 in the village of Mvezo, in the Eastern Cape of South Africa. From humble beginnings, he would rise to become the symbol of the fight for freedom, equality, and human dignity. The roots of a leader, Mandela was born into the Thembu royal family, but his early life was shaped by his connection to the people, the land, and the traditions of his Xhosa heritage. His father, Gadla Henry Mumfakanyiswa, was a local chief, and his mother, Nosekeni Fanny, was a deeply influential figure in his life. When Mandela's father passed away, he was sent to live with the Thembu regent, Jongintaba, who gave him a chance at a formal education. Nelson Mandela, Education and Politics. Mandela's education took him from the local mission school to the prestigious University of Fort Hare, where he studied law. It was here that he first encountered the ideas of equality and justice that would define his life's work. But Mandela's education wasn't confined to books. He came to understand the racial inequality that defined South African society, and in 1941, he moved to Johannesburg to work as a law clerk. Joining the African National Congress, ANC, in 1944, Mandela helped form the African National Congress Youth League, ANC, a movement that would change the course of South African history. By 1948, the National Party came to power, implementing the policy of apartheid, a brutal system of racial segregation that would dominate South Africa for decades. The ANC, with Mandela at the forefront, began organizing against these discriminatory laws. In the 1950s, Mandela and other ANC leaders launched the Defiance Campaign, a series of protests aimed at challenging the apartheid system. As Mandela's activism intensified, he became increasingly involved in the leadership of the ANC. In 1962, he was arrested and convicted of inciting workers to strike and leaving the country without a passport. He was sentenced to 5 years in prison. But the biggest challenge was yet to come. In 1963, Mandela and several other leaders were charged with sabotage and treason at the Rivonia trial. Mandela's speech from the dock became legendary. Mandela, in speech, "I have fought against white domination, and I have fought against black domination. I have cherished the ideal of a democratic and free society in which all persons live together in harmony and with equal opportunities. It is an ideal which I hope to live for and to achieve. But if needs be, it is an ideal for which I am prepared to die." Mandela was sentenced to life imprisonment on June 12, 1964, and would spend the next 27 years behind bars. Robben Island and Reflection. Mandela was incarcerated on Robben Island, a remote prison off the coast of Cape Town, where he was subjected to hard labor and harsh conditions. But even behind bars, Mandela's resolve remained unshaken. He continued to be a symbol of resistance to apartheid, inspiring both South Africans and people around the world. It was during these years that he honed his leadership qualities, studying law and negotiating for the release of political prisoners. International pressure for his release. The anti-apartheid movement gained momentum globally, with boycotts, sanctions, and widespread protests calling for Mandela's release. The apartheid regime, under increasing international pressure, eventually began to make concessions. The end of apartheid. In 1990, after 27 years in prison, Nelson Mandela was released. His release marked the beginning of the end for apartheid. Negotiations between the ANC and the South African government resulted in the dismantling of apartheid laws, culminating in South Africa's first multiracial elections in 1994. becoming South Africa's first black president. In 1994, Nelson Mandela made history when he became South Africa's first democratically elected black president. His leadership was rooted in reconciliation, even as he sought to right the wrongs of the past. He formed a government of national unity and emphasized the need for forgiveness rather than revenge. Mandela, in speech, "We have walked a long road to freedom. The time for the healing of the wounds has come. The moment to bridge the chasms that divide us has come." Advocating for peace and social justice. After serving one term as president, Mandela retired from political life, but his work was far from over. He became a global ambassador for peace, focusing on issues such as HIV/AIDS, poverty, and international conflict. His legacy as a peacemaker led to his involvement in peace talks and social justice movements worldwide. Personal struggles and family life. Mandela's personal life was not without its challenges. He had been married 3 times, first to Evelyn Ntoko Mace, with whom he had 4 children, then to Winnie Madikizela, who played a key role in the struggle against apartheid, and finally to Graça Machel, the widow of former Mozambican President Samora Machel. The passing of a giant. On December 5, 2013, Nelson Mandela passed away at the age of 95. The world mourned the loss of the man who had changed the course of history. His death marked the end of an era, but his legacy lived on. Mandela's lasting impact. Mandela's life was one of unwavering dedication to the ideals of freedom, justice, and equality. He embodied the power of forgiveness and reconciliation, and his leadership was a beacon of hope for oppressed people everywhere. Nelson Mandela's journey from a rural village in South Africa to the presidency of a free nation, his battle against apartheid, and his global advocacy for peace have left a lasting imprint on the world. He was a man who not only fought for freedom, but also taught us that true greatness comes from the willingness to forgive and build a better future for all. Reflection on legacy. Nelson Mandela's life was a testament to the enduring power of hope, the resilience of the human spirit, and the relentless pursuit of justice. His journey reminds us that no matter the odds, a single person can change the world. Nelson Mandela, 1918 to 2013, a leader, a symbol of peace, and an icon of freedom.